Hey, what's up, guys? So this is a build idea I end up making like every league, I guess, which is a Voidforge Slayer. And this is probably the best iteration I've had. Like it has really good AoE, speed, pretty good damage, pretty tanky. And yeah, just a lot of really nice things going for it. And I'm pretty happy with it. And the build concept is pretty much this sword right here, Voidforge. And what it does, it gives you a lot of life, a lot of AoE, but the main thing is it gives you a huge multiplier to flat fist damage. So even though it looks like a low DPS weapon, it's actually really high DPS. And you can even scale it way further with like flat fizz on your gear or whatever else. And the main way I'm doing that is through a Blutter support. So this gives you a bunch of flat fizz as long as you're on low life, and it's based on your life. So with my life, I think it ends up being around 200 flat phase, which is really huge. It's more than the sword has by far, and yeah, it's just really strong. I think this support gem is worth like 200% more damage for the build, and it also makes it so you can scale your damage through life, and that's just always really powerful when you can scale your life and damage through one attribute or one stat. And the way I'm getting so much life is, well, firstly, I just have every life known to mankind. Just grab every life thing, and if you grab 6 of them, you can get this mastery, which gives you 10% more life, which is a huge. And you can also get another big multiplier, which is Dissolution of Flesh, which can roll up to 30% more max life. But there's some downsides to this. It kind of changes how you die, I guess. So instead of dying because your life runs out, you die because your life gets reserved, which is just a really weird playstyle, and it makes you really tanky against big hits, but little and medium hits over time they just destroy the character. So yeah, it's a weird playstyle, but totally worth using. And it also has another pretty interesting synergy with Petrified Blood specifically, which is if you force yourself to go a low life, like I just have a random aura with arrogance on weapon swap, it makes it so Petrified Blood gives you the damage mitigation, right? But you still have to reserve all your life to die, so it's just a really huge effective health multiplier. But there's one downside, which is the dot, or the damage that gets converted into a dot. That dot doesn't reserve your life for some reason. Instead, it starts ticking down your life, and you can actually die if you hit 0 life because of the dot. But it's a really easy way to work around that, which is you just get 30% recoup on your jewelry, and just have some leech, and honestly, it feels fine. And yeah, and the other way I'm getting a bunch of life is through Abyss Jewel stacking, through with the Shroud of the Lightless. So this body armor gives you extra life per Abyss Jewel affecting you. And I have like 8, I think, which gives, yeah, just a lot of life. And it also gives Ellie penetration for damage. Yeah, just a really nice chest. And the jewels I have is, they're pretty cheap actually. They just have life and global crit multi for the most part. Maybe a little bit of flat face, but yeah, life and multi is the most important part. And I'm also using like Bubonic Trail and Darkness Enthroned and stuff like that for more Abyss jewels. But there's a couple of jewels that are a little bit different, which is a Deckrod's Gaze, which gives me a bunch of crit chance, because I have a bunch of Murderous jewels. And also, since I want Bleed and Poison immunity, I also have a perfect Darkness Enthroned, with the chance to avoid bleeding and chance to avoid poisoned on these jewels. And also just a random magic Abyss jewel, so it procs the effect on Bubonic Trail. And yeah, that's how I'm getting all my life. And I actually only have 3 rares, with just the rings with a life resist recoup and amulet, just to get some dex and intelligence and life, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And I guess another cool thing is that I have a really high life pool, right? But I don't need to regen my life because it all gets sustained through recoup anyways, or leech. So I can use something like Calm Spirit that converts my regen into rage generation, and with just very little investment. Like I have these 3 regen nodes, and like, I don't know, a little bit here. It's not too much at all. And I have like, I don't know, 10 rage per second, which is really useful for well, rage vortex, and also to sustain berserk for a really long time. But they kind of have counter synergy because uh, because Berserk starts seeking down your rage, right? And Rage Vortex gets weaker the less rage you have, so there's a little bit of counter synergy. But it's still nice to use on like bosses when you know it's going to die in a few seconds. And oh, why am I Slayer in the first place is because Voidforge has a really crappy crit chance, like 5%. And if you're Slayer, you just grab this node and boom, you're crit capped. So yeah, just a really strong node. And the other nodes are also really good, like AoE damage, damage, damage. Yeah, just a lot of damage. And yeah, what else? I think that's pretty much it. And oh, I guess I'm using Rage Vortex, but you can actually use pretty much any skill you want, I think, as long as it's attack based. But I like Rage Vortex; it's pretty cool. And there's a couple things I did to make Rage Vortex feel nicer, which is I crafted these three nodes, so I get the extra charge on Intimidating Cry. Because Rage Vortex kind of snapshots the damage per cast, so this one always does double damage if I have Intimidating Cry up. And same thing for like Phase Run or like Berserk or whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the build. Let's do something. Okay, so there's a little bit of clunkiness when you start a map because you're full life when you enter a hideout. So you have to find a way to get low life, and the easy way to do that is just weapon swap to an aura that reserves life. You just reserve, swap to a weapon, and yeah, you're low life now. You could also get mobs to hit you, but you're probably gonna die trying to do that. Yeah. You can see the AoE gets really juicy once you kill a couple of mobs. Yeah, really good coverage, especially for these kinds of maps where it's pretty linear, like hallways. Oh, and I'm also using Anomalous Rage Vortex because the default one is pretty freaking slow, so this one actually cannot keep up with you. But for bosses, you have to aim a little bit more because it stops pretty far away, as you can see. That definitely doesn't feel like a melee character, it just feels like you're like a bow build or something. Legions are also really nice because of the coverage. Probably the only melee build that I can clear the entire Legion with. Or well, most of it at least. And for bosses, there's actually a lot of buttons to press for bosses specifically. So usually you start off hitting it to get your resonance stacks. But after that you wanna like use your totem, use Berserk, Curse, Phase Run, and yeah, the damage gets way higher as you can see. But yeah, it's not the highest single target, definitely, but it's completely fine. And yep, that's the build. I must see you later.